Hey guys, APGAINS here, and today we're going to talk about building in Rise to War, the new Lord of the Rings game. I've been really enjoying it, and if you guys have been enjoying this game, or maybe you guys are just getting into this game and you want some helpful guides, some fun videos where me and my guild do a ton of PvP and kind of just bully the whole server, make sure that you guys subscribe. But we're going to talk about building today. I have my settlement on a new server that we joined with a bunch of subscribers just to have a little bit of fun, be a little bit of a nuisance to the enemy factions, and we're going to start building. So as you can see, I have some land. That'll be another video if you guys don't already know how to go about capturing land. But to build, let's say we're in the main screen right here, we can get there two ways. We can either click this button right here. As you can see, it's prompting us that we can build some new soldiers. We click this button. It says we have an idle queue, so we can come here. It'll take us into our settlement, and we can select what we want to build. Alternatively, if we're out here and we're just scrolling around, we're like, oh, this guy right here, we're gonna bully him tomorrow once his protection's over. We click here, we go enter, and it takes us into the same screen. And what we can do is we can come down here to build. As you can see, we have 1 out of 2 of our construction queues being used. The construction queue is just the limit to how much you can build at the same time. There are places you can spend money to increase that, or we can do that later down the line. But starting up at the top, main hall, I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably figured this one out already. This is just what allows you to start doing more and more higher level stuff. So like higher level barracks or conscription posts or whatever will be gated behind higher level town halls, as well as these other things down here, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Now, the first row, we have storage, the apothecary, and the barracks. These are all fairly simple. Storage is just the amount of each resource that you can have total. Getting this up, especially before maybe you go to bed or something like that, is very important, so you can build up those resources while you sleep, and you can come back to a bunch of resources that you can use to build, recruit units, and do all sorts of great stuff. Apothecary is actually very important because a lot of times you'll lose units in battle, and you don't want to waste the resources to buy more, so you can go into the apothecary, I can't speak today apparently, and bring them back. And barracks is just the amount of capacity you have to recruit units. Now, lumber tribute, stone tribute, grain tribute, ore tribute are all the exact same thing, of course, for the 4 different resources. These just give you this passive production per each level, and is helpful because resources, as we'll talk about in other videos, is the most important thing in this entire game. Now, conscription post is where you actually conscript your units, and you can reduce time it takes. So as you can see, if I go up to level 12, which I believe I'm currently doing, no, I'm building up a barracks. The conscription time will go from a -20 to a 23%, which is pretty nice. And you can also increase the number of queues once you get to the max level, and hiring, which we'll talk about in a different video. These are for special units. Very expensive, very end game. You guys will get to that eventually. So for the first couple of maybe a week or so, we don't really need to worry about that unless you progress quickly, and then, it'll be a little bit faster. But pretty simple. War room, this is actually a fantastic one to get up early. It doesn't require a ton of resources, but this just allows your guildmates, or I believe they're called warband if you're evil, or alliance. I think if you're on the light side. I've only ever played dark side, and I can't imagine that those dirty rascals over on the good side have it a little bit better than us. They definitely don't. You should definitely play as a bad guy, and bad is subjective. To us, we're the good guys. But they can actually help you out and reduce construction time. So this allows, the higher level, it allows more of your guildmates to help you out, which reduces your construction time, which is also super important. Excuse me, man. The market's very important because a lot of times you'll have a lot of one resource and you'll need to build, and you won't have a lot of another resource, and this just gives you better trade ratios when you trade one resource like iron for something like wood or food or something like that. It's just very helpful. Actually, highly recommend getting this up if the resources aren't too much. I would do this, but I'm actually saving up for when this to finish to go up into Town Hall 7, so I'm saving my resources there. Battlements, this is mostly for PvP. This just makes you a nice thick boy or girl, depending. Obviously, both men and women are allowed to be awesome memers and PvPers in Lord of the Rings Rise to War. So this just makes your base a little bit thicker and harder for the enemy to take over eventually once you do get into some sweet PvP. Training camp, this place is pretty nice. It just helps your commanders, basically. It's a pretty useful thing. It's a little late early game. I don't use it all that often, but it is actually quite effective, and highly consider doing that. And then Bowman Tower, this is very end game. In main hall level 9, this basically just kills a couple of enemies when they start to besiege you, wears them down a little bit, makes you a little bit harder to take down. Now these over here are the quarters. As you can see, we have 4 of them. If you're playing on the good side, These will be like the Elven, Dwarven, and like whatever quarters. So our northern quarters, which is where we recruit all of our orcs. As you can see here, these are like the range, these are the riders, these are the melee types, and then there's some cavalry down here. And different levels of the northern quarters allow us to recruit different level soldiers. You can see here I can recruit level 2 orc crossbowmen, level 2 trackers, and I'll eventually be able to get up to the level 3 reapers, which are pretty cool. But right now I don't. So upgrading this, it's capped by main hall, sort of the other quarters. It just allows you to recruit better and better units, and these are actually very helpful because having higher level units is always nice. It makes it easier to take higher power and higher resource land, helps your faction, great for PvP. You want to get up to these tier 3s as quickly as possible. Now the other quarters are just going to be for the other races. So you can see here I have the Uruk for the Uruk-hai quarters. I can unlock their like melee units. Eventually I'll be able to unlock these sapper units, which are also very fantastic, and these alchemist units are, you know, amazing. But you know, they have some pretty good sniper archer units, which are pretty fantastic. And then we go down here. These guys are like we can get the trolls. These are more cave beastie areas. This, of course, I think this is the. It depends on what you choose, but I think this is going to be the dwarven one. If you don't pick dwarves on the early side, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, of course. You know, the scout layer, as you can see, overlaps with this right here, which is nice. But we have stuff like grunts, which are, you know, low-level tiers, and then we have brutes, which are kind of like, these are kind of like your tanky units, and then these guys are a little bit powerful. And then this is where we have the nice cave trolls. These are some big, heavy. I think they actually have the trait. Where are their traits? That just says that they're large, and that's a special denotion. So it's kind of, I can't tell if it's an advantage or not. But I really like the big troops, like the Eagles, you know, a lot of the higher end troops. They're just so fun. They come in smaller groups. If you ever watch the actual combat, they're fun to watch, just stomp around on people. And then Eastern Quarters, this is where we get our men, or our evil men, whatever the game decides to call them. Again, we don't like to put labels on ourselves. We're not necessarily evil. We consider ourselves just and holy in all that we do, and you guys should as well. And they have some pretty good Corsair units, which are also very nice. And the Dragoons are fantastic as well for some endgame stuff. This requires main hall 8, which is not super hard to get. This requires main hall 7, I believe. So it goes down in terms of power. You get a little bit stronger down here. But don't feel, you know, afraid to go pretty endgame here and get these Fallen. These are fantastic units. In the earlier quarters, you can actually get good units, and I probably should have saved this for a video on units since I was talking about building, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, consider subscribing if you enjoy this game or you want to get into this game. Of course, most people who are going to end up watching this video watch me for my Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes stuff. Guys, I'm not stopping that. I still love the game, still going to hang out there. I'll see you guys around. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.